We believe that they were in love. We believe that their relationship was genuine. He told me that Ashlee did something to herself and that she was being taken to the hospital. I said, "What happened when?" And he told me it had been 11 hours prior.
I just spoke to the family of Ashlee Robinson. She's the 31-year-old influencer who was on vacation with her fiancé celebrating her birthday. He actually proposed on the trip. But something crazy happened. She was having a good time. Her family said she was very excited to be there, shared pictures with the family, FaceTimed them when she was proposed to. But they released a statement saying that Ashlee was found unconscious in her villa and was rushed to a local hospital where her death was confirmed hours later. I spoke to Robinson's parents. Here's some of what they had to say.
It doesn't make any sense. She was traveling with her, with her boyfriend, and he was taking on what was supposed to be a celebratory trip to celebrate her birthday that was coming, and they were in a gorgeous place in Africa and happy. Everything that we knew was that she was supposed to be happy and she was engaged. She celebrated her birthday thereafter, and then she's just gone. We're confused about how that could change so drastically.
What can you tell us in terms of how you found out, and have you spoken to her fiance?
I was initially contacted by him to let me know that something had occurred, and that she was in the hospital, but it was very limited communication and not with a lot of detail. I asked him, when it happened and where it happened, and he told me that something had occurred 11 hours prior to when he was reaching out to me.
We found out that our daughter had passed from the hotel. The fiance did not reach out to us at all.
Do you believe that Joe McCann had something to do with your daughter's death?
We don't
want
have, it's under investigation, and we don't know what went on.
It's under investigation, and like we said, we just want transparency. Just let us know.
I want to make sure that everybody is fully aware that she was a light. She was a light. She was a beautiful person, and this doesn't align with who she is.
Understandably, the family really didn't want to talk about Joe McCann, the man who proposed to their daughter. When you go online, you can see he's the CEO of Asymmetric, which is a venture capital company that invests in crypto companies. But the point is, the family wants answers. They don't understand why they haven't been able to reach Joe. They don't understand why he wasn't more forthcoming about what exactly happened to their daughter. And it's why they said they're speaking out. Next steps for them, they said, is trying to get to Zanzibar so they can get to the bottom of what happened.
Her family is not staying quiet. They are not waiting. They are not accepting the story being handed to them from thousands of miles away. The Robinson and Endres families have come forward with a statement that makes one thing crystal clear. They do not believe what they're being told about how their daughter, their sister, their person ended up dead inside a luxury villa in Zanzibar, Tanzania. They are calling the circumstances surrounding her D388 suspicious. And the more you look at this case, the more you start to understand exactly why. Ashlee Robinson, known to her more than 90,000 Instagram followers as Ashlee Jenae, was 31 years old. She was a lifestyle content creator based in Miami, and she built her entire platform around something she called the soft life: luxury travel, beautiful moments, a woman living on her own terms and documenting every second of it. She was the kind of person whose page made you feel like joy was possible, like the good life was real and within reach. And in early April 2026, it genuinely looked like everything she had been building toward was finally coming together all at once. She flew to Zanzibar with her boyfriend of 1 year, Joe McCann, to celebrate her 31st birthday, and not just a birthday. On April 3rd, Joe got down on one knee during a safari, right there in the African wild with a lion walking in the background, and he proposed. Ashlee said yes. She posted the video. Her followers flooded the comments with congratulations. 2 days later, on April 5th, her actual birthday, she was at the villa feeding a giraffe while red and white rose petals on the ground spelled out HBD Ashlee. She looked directly into the camera and wrote in her caption, "Chapter 31, and I'm exactly where I need to be. That was her last post. Those were the last words she put into the world. And within days of typing them, she was gone. Now here's where the story stops being a celebration and starts becoming something that should disturb every single person watching this. Because the version of events that has come out of Tanzania does not sit right. Not with her family, not with her friends, and honestly, not with common sense. According to reports, at some point after the birthday celebration and the proposal, something went wrong between Ashlee and Joe McCann inside that villa. Her mother says Ashlee called her on April 8th to say that she and her fiancé had gotten into an argument, and because of that argument, hotel staff moved the two of them into separate rooms. Think about that for a second. They were just engaged. They were on what was supposed to be the happiest trip of their lives. And now they are sleeping in separate rooms after a fight that nobody outside of those walls can fully explain. The next day, April 9th, Ashlee's mother did not get a call from her daughter. She got a call from Joe McCann, and what he told her in that moment is one of the most chilling parts of this entire case. He said that Ashlee had done something to herself. He said she had been taken to the hospital. He said she was stable. But then came the detail that stopped her mother cold. He told her this had happened 11 hours before he ever picked up the phone to call her family. 11 hours. Her daughter was reportedly fighting for her life in a hospital in Tanzania, and the man who was with her, the man who had just put a ring on her finger, waited 11 hours before telling her mother. Does that feel right to you? Hours after that call, the hotel contacted the family directly to inform them that Ashlee Robinson was dead, and the explanation being pushed forward for how she died, suicide by hanging. Joe McCann reportedly told Tanzanian authorities that she had inged herself. Police out of Tanzania looked at the situation and quickly moved to close the door on any other theory, publicly stating they had no plans to detain McCann and that he was not accused of any wrongdoing. But the medical records tell a story that is harder to explain away than that, because the first hospital that treated Ashlee noted an unidentified mark around her neck, and then a second hospital, after examining her, listed the cause of D3-ADH as cerebral hypoxia caused by strangulation and suffocation. Strangulation, not suicide. Strangulation. Now, the family has been very deliberate about one thing. They have said publicly that any information not coming directly from them should be treated as unverified. They are not pointing fingers in their official statement. They are not making accusations by name, but they are using the word suspicious repeatedly. And the people closest to Ashlee are not being nearly as measured. Savannah Britt, a public relations professional and one of Ashlee's closest friends, went on X and said what the family was too careful to say outright. She wrote, "We need justice for my friend Ashlee Jenae, who was found dead in her hotel in Tanzania, and her fiancé Joe McCann claims she hung herself. Anyone who knows Ashlee knows she would never commit suicide. We need answers now." That post went viral almost immediately, and once people started paying attention, they started digging. And what they found only added more fuel to a fire that was already burning. Because here is a question worth sitting with. If the person you were supposed to spend the rest of your life with was found unresponsive, if she had just taken her last breath, what would you be doing in the hours and days that followed? Most people would say they would be devastated, unreachable, falling apart. But online investigators went looking at Joe McCann's social media activity after Ashlee's death. And what they found raised eyebrows across every platform this story touched. McCann remained active on X after her death. His last post on the platform was dated April 8th of 2026, and it was not about grief. It was not about loss. It was a post about an AI success story involving a client's business in Thailand, a business post. And people online did not let that go quietly. One comment that spread widely read, "Why are you not heartbroken? Cry in bed, not able to eat. Why are you on Twitter doing business?" Now, to be fair, people process GR1EF differently. That is true. Some people go numb. Some people go through the motions. Some people cannot sit still. But the combination of that behavior alongside the 11-hour delay in calling her family, alongside the disputed cause of death, alongside the argument that happened just before she was found, it paints a picture that the internet is not willing to simply accept and move on from. And then there is a detail about how she was allegedly found. According to what McCann reportedly told authorities, Ashlee used a piece of cloth from her dress to hang herself inside a wardrobe, at a resort that reportedly cost close to $950 a night. A woman who had just turned 31, who had just gotten engaged, who had just posted about being exactly where she needed to be in life, who had just called her mother to FaceTime and show off the trip. That is the woman they want the world to believe woke up and decided that was the moment, right there, right then, days after the best moment of her life. Her mother addressed this directly. She said, "She's never done anything that would ever lead me to believe that she would do something to harm herself like that." She was happy. And that word keeps coming up from everyone who knew her. Happy, present, excited, full of life. These are not the words people use to describe someone secretly struggling in a way that would end like this. But here's where the case gets even more complicated, because Tanzania authorities did eventually release a ruling, and they sided with the suicide narrative. Police Commander Benedict Mapudra told local outlet Mwanachi that the couple had a misunderstanding, that hotel staff separated them into different rooms, and that based on their investigation, they believe Ashlee died by suicide. He confirmed that McCann was not being detained, that no charges were being pursued, that as far as they were concerned, the case was moving toward a closed door. The family's response to that? They are not done. They have been in contact with the consulate. They have been in contact with the embassy. They have requested surveillance footage from the resort. And as of the time this video was put together, the U.S. State Department had made no public statement about the case whatsoever, which raises its own set of questions about how much urgency is being applied to finding out what really happened to an American woman who died on foreign soil under circumstances her entire family calls suspicious. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave Ashlee Robinson, a woman whose family is on the other side of the world trying to get answers through embassies and consulates and phone calls that keep hitting walls? A woman whose friends are on social media demanding justice because nobody with actual authority seems to be moving fast enough. And a woman whose final moments are being explained away by a version of events that the people who love her most simply do not believe. Let's talk about what the internet has also been pointing to, because the public did not just stop at questioning the suicide narrative. People started looking at Joe McCann himself, and what they found added another layer to an already deeply troubling story. McCann is the founder and CEO of a cryptocurrency firm called Asymmetric Financial, a company with notable names in its investor circle. He had a private Instagram account with reportedly over 1,900 posts, many of which featured Ashlee. He had been with her for a year. He proposed to her on that trip, and after her death, he has not made a single public statement. The resort has not made a public statement, and law enforcement in Tanzania has essentially told the world there is nothing more to see here. But there is something that keeps pulling this story back into focus every time it seems like it might quiet down, and it is the medical evidence. Because you can argue about timelines. You can argue about grief responses. You can argue about what a person would or would not do in their lowest moment. But what you cannot easily argue away is what two separate hospitals documented on Ashlee Robinson's body. The first hospital noted an unidentified mark around her neck. The second hospital, after conducting its own examination, recorded the cause of death as cerebral hypoxia by strangulation and suffocation. Not hanging. Strangulation and suffocation. Those are two different things. Hanging is a method. Strangulation and suffocation are findings that describe force applied to the body, and that distinction matters enormously. Because if someone strangles another person and then positions their body to appear as though they took their own life, that is not suicide. That is something else entirely. And the question of which one of those things happened inside that villa in Zanzibar is a question that deserves a real answer. This case has drawn immediate comparisons online to Shanquella Robinson, no relation to Ashlee, the 25-year-old black woman who traveled to Mexico with a group of friends in 2022 and was found dead under circumstances her family also called suspicious. Video eventually surfaced. There was outrage. There were demands for justice. And the case became a symbol of how black women dying under unclear circumstances abroad can get dismissed, delayed, and ultimately left without the accountability their families deserve. People are saying the same energy is present here, the same pattern, a black woman, a foreign country, a convenient explanation that nobody who knew her believes, and a system that seems more interested in closing the file than finding the truth. Ashlee Robinson was not just a content creator. She was somebody's daughter, somebody's friend, a woman who built something real online by showing people that joy was worth chasing, that the soft life was not just an aesthetic. It was a standard she set for herself and lived out loud. Her last caption said she was exactly where she needed to be, and her family refuses to let the world forget that the woman who wrote those words was not a woman who was secretly planning to leave. They are fighting. They are pushing. And they are not going anywhere until someone explains how a woman with a mark around her neck, documented by 2 hospitals, a woman who had just gotten engaged, who had just turned 31, who had just called her mother on FaceTime to show off her dream vacation, ends up D3 ad in a wardrobe while the man in the next room waits 11 hours to call her family. The investigation in Zanzibar is reportedly still active. The U.S. State Department has yet to make a public statement. Surveillance footage from the resort has been requested but not confirmed as released. And Joe McCann remains free, uncharged and silent. If you are watching this and you believe Ashlee Robinson deserves answers, drop her name in the comments. Say her name. Because the loudest thing this family has right now is the attention of people who refuse to look away. And we are not looking away.